Hey guys, happy Tuesday, man. It is so great to see you. And I just want to appreciate all of our faithful listeners who listen. And some of you guys comment, some of you guys don't. But I would love to be able to have you leave a comment or how the message is encouraging you or what you thought about it. I would love to, or even send us a text. You know, I had one of my friends recently send us a text. So we love to be able to open up the doors of conversation about this podcast and how it's being a help to you, an encouragement to you. So this week we're talking about how to manifest our dreams. And we read over on yesterday, Psalm 126. It says, when the Lord brought back the captivity of Zion, we were like those who dream. Then our mouths was filled with laughter and our tongue, with singing. Then they said among the heathens, the Lord has done great things for them. You got to testify about God's goodness. You got to testify about all that God is doing. Even if you're not getting a full manifestation, begin to call those things that be not, somebody, as though they were. And the Lord has done great things for us, and we are glad. I want you to be glad today because God is moving, because you're deciding to dream. You're deciding to trust him. You're deciding to get into that space, in that place where you can laugh, where you can smile again, where the joy of the Lord is your strength. And so yesterday we said this: one, to manifest that God-given dream, you got to take the limits off, and you got to see yourself like God sees you. You got to get around other dreamers. You got to get around other people who are thinking big, who are speaking big. Don't allow yourself to get trapped. Don't allow yourself to get isolated. Open up yourself, open up your heart, and get back out there and get around other people who are thinking big, who are speaking big, who are dreaming big. Number two is this: learn to keep going and don't give up. I'm going to say it again. Learn to keep going and don't give up. Paul said this to the churches in the region of Galatia. He said in Galatians 6, he says, and let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we don't lose heart. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all. He says, especially to those who are of the household of faith. Do you have a household of faith? Do you consider yourself to be in the household of faith? Well, I really want to make sure you're doing good to those around you. You're doing good to those in your home, doing good to those, on your job who are followers of Christ. Of course, you want to make sure you're doing good to those in your local church. And so it's so important that we don't get tired. We don't become weary of doing the right thing. Keep your focus. Don't lose your why so you won't lose your way. Keep doing what's right. Matter of fact, Paul says to us, learn to do what's right. And I love how he says this, even in a prison cell. He says, finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report. He says, if there is any virtue, if there's any praise, he says, meditate on these things. It is so important that we meditate on the right stuff. It is so important that we're thinking ourselves happy. Matter of fact, he says this in verse 9. He says, the things which you have learned and received and heard and saw or seen in me. He said, that's what you to do. We got to recognize Paul was meant to be an example. And you got to get yourself around people that you can follow, that you can emulate. Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. And I believe it's so important that we're not the most spiritual person in our crew. We're not the most spiritual person of all of our friends. You really want to have that one friend or that one couple you look up to that can pour into you, that can mentor you, that can help you, guide you. They can point you in the right direction to answer certain questions that you may have. So Paul had the integrity to present himself as an example of all these things to the Philippian church. He really could say, follow me as I follow Jesus. If the Philippians did as Paul had instructed, not only would they have had the peace of God, but the God of peace would have also been with them. So I don't need just his peace. I need his peace on me. I need his peace in me. I need his peace in every area of my life. Number 3 is this: learn to be content where you are. Learn to be content where you are. He says this again in Philippians 4, not that I am speaking in regard to need, for I have learned, whatever state I am, to be content. I know how to be abased, and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I have learned. I'm going to say it again. Learn both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and suffer need. And in verse 13, he says, I can do what? All things through Christ who strengthens me. So what are we saying? Don't become discontented while you're going hard after your dream. Live for God. Decide that's the way you're going to go. Like it says in Joshua 24:15, as for me and my house, we're going to do it God's way. As for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. We got to make that declaration, and we got to make sure everybody in the house understands that's what we're trying to do, and that's where we're going. So be content with what we have, and thank God for what you have, and really get your eyes off everybody else. No, you keep your focus on Jesus. That's what Hebrews 12 says. It says, keep your focus on him, for he's the author and what? Finisher of our faith. So don't get so caught up in the destination that you don't enjoy the ride. Come on, man. You got to enjoy the journey. Enjoy the process. Enjoy your faith growth and your faith development, because that's going to be testimony time later. Testimony time when you're mentoring to somebody. Testimony time when you're sharing it in front of that class, that class you're teaching. Testimony time when you're sharing your message on the street, or you're sharing your message at that conference. So don't get so caught up in the destination. Enjoy the journey and slow down and appreciate what you have by maintaining a positive attitude. And having a good attitude is in a trying situation, and that's 90% of the battle. We can win over everything as long as we keep and maintain a godly attitude, because there's always going to be trials, but we must trust God and continue to do whatever he shows us to do, and we will come out victorious. Come on, man. Enjoy your Tuesday. We're going to be right back here tomorrow to wrap this up as we continue to talk about how to manifest your God-given dreams. Enjoy your Tuesday.